Follow Alice. Speak English properly, effectively, and smartly. Hi, this is Alice. Welcome to my course, Training and Practicing in English Public Speaking. Do you know English public speaking? Do you know the power of public speaking? Do you like it or do you fear it? I've been training students in Central South University to take part in all kinds of English speaking and interpreting contests for more than 12 years. We have won 2 national grand prizes, 4 national first prizes, 5 national second prizes, 7 provincial champions, 10 provincial grand prizes, and 7 provincial first prizes. Before I start my class, I'd like to share the stories of my contestants in the past 12 years.
Hi everybody, my name is Yuan Yongxiang, a chief resident at Xiangyang Hospital, Central South University. 10 years ago, Alice was my tutor, coaching me for several national college students' English speaking contests. Her philosophy and framework of constructing a profound and intriguing speech helped me win 2 regional champions and 2 national first prizes. These achievements have built my confidence and logic in delivering public speech, which continuously benefits me in the countless presentations I have made during my career. I really want to say thank you, Alice. Without your help, I couldn't have accomplished so much and so well. Thank you.
Hello, my dear friend. My name is Chen Shuyang, a teacher major in civil engineering at Central South University of Forestry and Technology. I met Alice in the year of 2006 and started to learn English public speaking since then. Her experience and preciseness has covered every detail in daily practice, speaking skills, stage manners, and even facial expressions. Yes, thanks to all her tutoring, I won the grand champion of the Hunan Provincial Final of the CCTV Star of Outlook English Talent Competition, and the first runner-up of the South Regional Final of the 21st Century Cup Speaking Contest, as well as the second prize winner of its national finals. Moreover, all these achievements in speaking contests helped me become a more eloquent person, which triggered me to devote into debating and found my own life path. I should say thank you so much, Alice.
Hey guys, greetings from Wall Street. This is Coco, and behind me is where I'm currently working. This is the global headquarters of Goldman Sachs. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, so I graduated from Central South University in 2012 and come to the United States for further study. And in 2016, I got my master's degree, and in a year later, my PhD degree in biostatistics. So currently, I'm working for this ginormous firm as the investment strategist for private equity investment. So I would like to say that the most important lesson that I learned from Alice and the training is her 3 secrets to happiness: love, care, and share. I still remember the first time when I met her. It was a bright sunny day, and I did something that I never realized at the time would change the whole entire course of my life. It was the first time ever that I spoke in a speaking contest in English. I was so nervous. It was like I can't even stand straight. It was really like all other contestants all from a different world where everybody speaks perfect English and everybody is just so confident. Well, I was just a little timid girl who still have nightmares about being teased by my horrible English pronunciation. But Alice really helped me get through this fear. She helped me to really be myself, to love myself, and really enjoy the whole entire process. So then I did that, and I just stepped on stage really fearlessly and expressed my true identity and won the competition and end up over here. So I'd like to say, if any one of you still have any fear about public speaking, don't worry. Love yourself, be yourself, really just enjoy the process. And I promise you, at the end of the day, you're gonna fall in love with the feeling of being on stage.
Hi everyone, I'm Zoe, now studying in Peking University. I met Alice in 2012 and enjoyed the warm and greatest Alice family. With her great guidance, I won the second prize in 21st Cup National English Speaking Contest and the first prize in Hunan Province. The experience of competitions really helped me to find out my future path. I got the first place in grades ranking during the undergraduate period and was recommended to Wenhua School of Management to continue my master and PhD. I got the national scholarship and also the first prize in academic speaking contest in Beijing. Also, I went to Nepal to intern at CRI and Confucius Institution.
Hi, my name is John Ray. I'm 25 and now studying for my doctorate degree in Peking Union Medical College Hospital, majoring in surgery. I attended Alice's public speaking course in my second year in university. I still remember the moments when I first answered Alice's questions in her class. Since then, Alice started to tutor and guide me in the realm of public speaking. Looking back, this effort-taking experience was not only about improving English language abilities or winning prizes, but more importantly, learning how to see the world positively. After experiencing Alice's devoted training and sweet torture, nearly hopeless anxiety, and the success on the stage, I become much maturer and calmer whenever I encountered any difficulty, because I know I can. Thank you, Alice. Thank you, public speaking.
Hi everyone, I'm Yang Peiran from CSU and I'm 23. It's my first year of my postgraduate study. After finishing my bachelor degree in CSU, I went on to pursue my master's degree under the guidance of Alice. With her instruction and cultivation, I've become the champion of all interpreting contests in Hunan Province, including the 6th National Interpreting Contest, Hunan Provincial Final, 7th Cross-Strait Interpreting Contest, Hunan Provincial Final, Hunan Postgraduate Interpreting Contest, and the Hunan Simultaneous Interpreting Contest. I'm also the first prize winner in the national final of the 6th National Interpreting Contest, and second prize winner in the national final of the 7th Cross-Strait Interpreting Contest. And now, I'm on my way to become a professional interpreter. Thanks to Alice's English public speaking course, I have become a better version of myself.
Hi everyone, I'm Winnie. I'm 21, just finishing my last year in college. I met Alice in my second year of college, and ever since, I've started my journey in public speaking. I was the champion of the Hunan Regional Final FLTRP Cup English Speaking Competition in 2016. I'm also a first prize winner of the FLTRP Cup National English Speaking Competition in 2016, and the second prize winner of the 21st Century Cup National English Speaking Competition.
Hi everyone, my name is Wang Chenyu. I'm 21 years old, a senior student from CSU. In the second year of my college, I met Alice. And ever since under her guidance and training, I won the runner-up in the 2017 FLTRP Cup National English Speaking Contest, and also the second prize in the 21st Century Cup. Besides, I'm also the champion of both competitions in the Hunan Regional Final. Thank you.
This is the self-introduction part for Peng Zhaoyi. My name is Peng Zhaoyi, 21 years old. I won the first prize at FLTRP Cup National English Speaking Contest online, and I'm also the first prize winner of the 21st Century Cup Hunan Regional Final. Right now, I'm a senior student from CSU. I met Alice in my second year of college. Ever since, she has been teaching me how to do public speaking contests. Basically, all my glories belong to Alice.
They are all my contestants, my students, my friends, and the members in Alice family. They are not superstars, but your schoolmates, your peers, and your classmates. They are at different ages, living in different countries, working in different fields. But they all share one thing in common. They have benefited a lot from public speaking, not only in contests, but for their future careers. However, no one is born to be a qualified speaker. When all of them started to learn public speaking, they felt just as you do. At first, they also feared, doubted, scared, but finally, they all become the shining stars on the stage and off the stage. Public speaking benefits them for their whole life. My dear students, no matter what majors you are studying, what kind of jobs you are going to have, public speaking is a necessary skill that should be learned by everyone. The power of public speaking is really amazing. Sometimes it's just like a kind of magic that can turn you into a better person. I want to share this skill not only with my contestants, but with you, with more students, and with more people. I hope everyone who will study my course can feel its magical power and turn to be a better you. But lots of students tell me they don't like public speaking. They hate the feeling of being nervous or scared on the stage, and the feeling of not knowing what to say or how to say. But actually, once you know public speaking more, practice more, and experience more, you are going to like it gradually. And this will make you braver and more confident. And public speaking will make you smarter. It will give you more control over your life. You can become a more flexible communicator, but needing to analyze audiences and to adapt ideas and arguments to them. Moreover, you will become a more critical and more independent thinker when knowing how to evaluate others' arguments without feeling manipulated. All these abilities help you become a better person. You will learn to listen attentively, think critically, and speak properly, attractively, and smartly. Indeed, we have so many speaking models, but this does not mean you have to be someone else. You don't have to be like those famous speakers like J.K. Rowling, Steve Jobs, Jack Ma, or Obama, or like Coco, Teddy, Winnie, and Andy. The best speaker you can become is yourself. Always remember, your goal is to be the best speaker you can be, not to become someone else. Now think again. Do you want to learn English public speaking? Do you want to know its power? Do you want to conquer your fear? Do you want to be the best of you? If your answer is yes, follow me and follow Alice family members. Let's start our journey.
And enjoy Alice's sweet torture.
In this class, you should remember these important points.